C'è qualcuno là fuori? C'è qualcuno là fuori? Benvenuti al Christian Podcast.
Well, my friends, the survivors out there right after the apocalypse, we're right here on Christian Podcast, the last radio on earth. And today I want to say this. I have this new app on my phone called Clubhouse. And, I'm kind of like getting used to this new app, because I think it's going to be great in 2021. A lot of people are going to subscribe to it and download the app. It's an app that's based on audio. So it's totally new to me. But nonetheless, I was using this app as I'm scrolling through the chat rooms and like places I'm finding in this app. I met this guy named Joe. So on today's episode, Joe kind of, you can have your profile on this app. It's called Clubhouse. And I read a little bit about what Joe does. I'm like, that'd be super interesting to have Joe on the show. And you're about to get to know Joe. But all that to say also that, this podcast is heard everywhere on Spotify, iTunes, Roku TV. I have a Spanish stream called El Christian Podcast. If any of you speak Spanish and want to check that out, I do episodes along with my wife. And you can also follow me on Clubhouse. So for those of you that are new to this app, download it and start following us there. It's called XTN Podcast, because I couldn't type in Christian because it's too long. So I had to put XTN Podcast. So check it out there. It's a great place for conversation. And with no further ado, so we have Mr. Joe Delagrave on the show. How are you doing, Joe?
Hey, doing well. Thanks so much for having me, man. Really appreciate it.
So good, Joe. Did I say it right? Is it Joe Delagrave?
Yeah, 100%.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, Joe is a keynote speaker and wheelchair rugby captain. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah.
Awesome. He's an Olympian. He's got a crazy story. And today, we want to hear from him. We want to get to know him. And I think the audience is going to get amazing insight into how to live a more intentional and even successful life with some of the story that Joe is going to share, but then some of the challenges he's faced and how he was able to face these challenges and overcome some of them. So, Joe, man, just tell us a little bit about you, what you're doing now, and then we'll go a little bit into your story from 2004. But tell us what you do now and who you are.
Yeah, so right now I'm training for the Paralympics in Tokyo 2020, which is now 2021, with the cancellation or postponement back in 2020, of course, with the pandemic. So I'm at training camp right now. So for those of you that are watching the video, you're seeing this cool dorm room background. that is the dorm life. So taking me back to the college days. But we're at training camp right now. Grinding. We're here for 2 weeks. We have 2 days each day, and today is one of our days off, thankfully, to rest and recover. But we are on our way trying to grind for a gold medal. And so a little bit about wheelchair rugby in the Paralympics is wheelchair rugby has been played for about 50 years, give or take. It started in the 70s in Canada. And now it's played in over 30 countries worldwide. And some of the major players are Australia, of course, New Zealand and Canada and Brazil and France and Great Britain. And so it's played all over the world now, and an amazing sport. Kind of a weird deal. You see these gladiator type looking chairs smashing into each other. So you're thinking like, why are these people with disabilities like trying to become more disabled, crashing into each other type of deal? It's a kind of an oxymoron, but but yeah, I've been fortunate enough to wear USA across my chest for 13 years and been one of the captains for 8. So leadership's important to me, and just excited for our team. Moving closer and closer to the games is always really, really fun because we've been training at it for 4 years as a normal quad, but then a year added on to this in 2021. So we're tired right now, coming off of 3 straight days, but really excited, and yeah, that's me and what I'm doing right now.
Wow, Joe. I mean, sounds like training for this. You said you've been training for 4 years plus the additional year. That's a lot of training, man.
100%, man. It's we have, our major competitions, our world championships or the Paralympics. They happen every 2 years, but the major one is Paralympics, and it's where you train for 4 years and hope to be a gold medal winning wheelchair rugby player. So that's obviously the outcome that we want.
Love it, man. Love the leadership focus. And I also love the dedication. And I think we're going to learn a lot today from you. I think you have a lot to offer. And I love the positive attitude as well. So good for you, man. I'm excited to talk about this. But let's go a little bit back into your story, man. I was reading on your website that you had this major accident. It seems like you were living somewhat of a regular life, right? Going to college. You were in the football team. And then there was some sort of tragedy as you were rafting or utilizing a floating device on a river or something like that. Can you bring us back a little bit to what happened then, man? How was your life then and how it was changed in a moment?
Yeah, to kind of bring it back a little bit, man, you're 19 years old, and for me, I grew up playing sports. I grew up playing all the sport: basketball, football, baseball, swimming. I was in theater. I did like the plays and musicals as well. I loved being a part of a team. I love being a part of an environment that you could find where your niche was. You could find how you could help or lift the team up. And so like that was always a big deal for me. And it was where I received a lot of my affirmation. That's one of my love languages. And something that was important to me is to get that affirmation and seek it from a coach or a director of a play or whatever it would be. And so it was really important to have that. And one of my biggest goal is to play a college sport. And I was pretty decent on the basketball court and on the football field, and ended up getting a scholarship to play football in college. So like my goals and dreams and desires and everything was going really great. Like some of those were becoming a reality. And man, like I was on top of the world for that. And my freshman year of college, as my career kind of started taking off, and I got to play as a true freshman and was a good part of the team. My relationship with God was slowly stepping away, and that was something that was concerning. But at the same time, like, man, I was living out my dreams and passions and desires. So like that was awesome. And at 19, you feel invincible, right? You're 6'6" and 250 pounds and
Wow.
solid and strong, and you feel invincible at 19. And so on July 9th, 2004, that was me. July 10th, life changes completely. And I was out on the river with my buddies in a bass fishing boat on the Mississippi River. You never know how deep or shallow the river is, but my buddy was driving. I was just sitting in the boat, leaned back, enjoying the summer day, 75 degrees, partly sunny, beautiful summer Midwest day. And he hits the bottom of the river. I fly backwards. My head hits on the front of the boat, inside the boat, snaps my neck at C6 and 7, and instantly makes me a quadriplegic where I have paralysis from the chest down. So in like a split second, I went from 19 in big, tall, strong, invincible to what in the world is happening? What is going to go on? I remember laying in the hospital bed and you look down at your legs and you send the signal from your brain through your spinal cord to your, like, that still all functions. But then when the signal goes, there's nothing. The legs don't move. I can't feel them. They feel like someone else's legs. And questions start to swirl. Am I gonna find something that I'm passionate about? What's my identity gonna be without athletics? Am I gonna find a job? Is this girl that I'm with gonna stay with me? Am I gonna have kids? Like, some of these questions that you think about at 19, but now are surfacing, going like, maybe there's not a possibility that that's gonna happen. And in those moments, in those dark moments, it's so important to pause and reflect, and then also pivot. So a lot of people always talk about, oh, yeah, okay, something bad happens, but we got to pivot. But if we pause and reflect before we pivot, I think it's really important to realize, wow, okay, I'm hurting. Wow, okay, yeah, this sucks. I'm mad, I'm angry. This isn't my plan. This wasn't what was supposed to happen. Where's all my dreams and desires and everything going on now that's all gone? What's going to happen? And kind of dealing with some of that darkness, dealing with some of that, and realizing God's got my back through the form of this verse that's on my wall, from Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. And it was given to me a week before my accident on this shirt that I had from a football camp. This shirt that wasn't even mine. Someone gave it to me randomly at a football game because I didn't have an undershirt for my pads. And on this shirt, a week before my accident, I'm wearing it. On the shirt was Proverbs 3, 5, and 6.
Wow.
Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he'll direct your paths. A week later, my neck's broken, and I'm laying in the hospital room, and I'm thinking about that verse, and I was so mad about it. I'm like, I don't want to trust in anyone. I want to know what the heck's going on. This sucks. I can't move. I'm trapped in this hospital bed. What now? And so you pause and you reflect on it, and there's a whole bunch of emotions that go on. But if we don't deal with those, and we just have some like false positivity and then move on right away, then I don't think some of those things get dealt with ever. And so dealing with that right away, and dealing with like the reality of the situation, that, yeah, this sucks. This is not fun. But in that moment, then you can make a choice to pivot and say, I can play the blame game. I can be a victim and say, man, it's my buddy's fault that I'm in this situation, and it wasn't my fault, and woe is me, and everyone just take care of me because I'm in a wheelchair. And you have this mindset that the world owes you something because you did something, or you had something tragic happen. Or you can be a victor and say, you know what, I'm going to make the choice to learn how to become independent. I'm going to make the choice to start trusting in the Lord with all my heart, because I don't understand it, and I'm never going to, but maybe he's got a different plan. And so you start making those choices, and some of those are really small. Some of them are like, I'm going to make a choice to start getting in this wheelchair and start pushing around the hospital. I'm going to make a choice to work as hard as I can at physical therapy and occupational therapy. I'm going to make a choice to start learning how to dress myself, putting a sock on, putting some pants or a shirt on. Some of those choices turn into, wow, I'm going to make a choice to go back to school and get an education. Some of those choices turn into, I want to start finding out about these adaptive sports and figure that out. And all of a sudden, it's a lot of hard work. You become a Paralympian. I'm going to make a choice to start talking to my girlfriend about what she wants in life, and talk about what we're going through. And you realize that you have this rock solid chick in your life that you need to marry. I'm going to make a choice to, like, all these small choices end up becoming bigger ones, and ones that at 19, I'm wrestling with all these questions, and some of these questions start getting answered because
Wow.
There's a power of personal responsibility and a power of trusting in the Lord with all your heart.
Yeah. Joe, how before this accident, you said that you were kind of like, I don't know if the word is exactly like slipping away from God, but maybe he was not as much on your radar as after the accident. And when you say you started to make like this, almost like this daily choices, but it really is a long range of time, right? Like it didn't happen just, okay, I'm making this choice today, and everything flipped that way. The next day, you still got to make a second choice. The next day, you still got to wake up and make a different choice, right? Like every day is an opportunity to make a choice. Where did you find this strength, especially in a time where maybe your faith, like you said, was a little, if you were like slipping away from God, how did you wrestle with that power to say yes to life on a daily basis? Where did you find it? How long did it take you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was in that darkness, in that depression of wow, this is life. This is life. Like the doctors come in, the doctors are going like, dude, you're not going to walk again. There's like these are the X-rays. This is what we have. This is the surgery. You're not going to walk again. And right away you're going like, no, like I'm going to show them and I'm going to work hard to walk again. And some people do. It's like some people, that's their story. For me, it wasn't. It never happened. And so, yeah, starting to make those choices every day. But I think also being real about what was going on as well. Real about, man, I'm in a dark place. Real about like, this is really depressing. This really is not what I wanted. This isn't what I desired. But I think a lot of times, especially as men, we get prideful about stuff. Like we're like, I can get through this. I'm strong. I'm a big rough tough football. I'm 6 foot. I can get through this. And you do that and you do that and you do that and you can become more tired and more tired and more tired because you're never resting. You're never resting in what it means to trust in the Lord. You're never resting in actually putting faith that God's got your back because you're trying to do it all yourself. And so I went through that and then realized about halfway during my hospital stay, I was there for 3 months. About halfway through, I'm going like, I can't do this on my own. I can't like just pretend that everything's okay on my own. And that verse that was on my hospital wall became more real because I was like, I don't understand it. I don't know why this is happening, but I'm going to trust that God has a plan. I don't know why I have to go through this, but I'm going to trust and have faith that he has a plan. So that was number one. Number two is having people in your life that are going to lift you up when you need it and pull you back when you need it. I think it's really important for us to have strong people in our, whether that's a mentor, whether that's a wife or a husband, whether that's, discipleship, like whatever it is, having people in your inner circle that will lift you up or pull you back when you need it is paramount to anyone being successful or anyone getting through a circumstance that they're going through. I know a lot of people that are listening, maybe some people listening that are in a wheelchair, but most people probably aren't. But most people have gone through a circumstance outside of their control that has devastated them. Losing a job, devastated them, losing a child or a husband or a wife, or gone through a divorce, like whatever it is, they've gone through something and they'll try to get out of it themselves and they end up failing. And then it's like, where do we turn to? We turn to God, and then we turn to those people around us that are there for us to help push us up out of it or pull us back when we need it.
Wow. So we need faith and we need people. How was that process? Like, how long did it take you to, or are you still wrestling with that? Like, I don't know, just tell me, how long was the process to say, okay, I'm in a different spot mentally now? Did it take years? Did it take weeks? How long did it take for you?
Yeah, I think it's an ongoing thing. Let's keep it 100 here. Like let's be real. I pride myself on being real and authentic. I'm a recovering people pleaser, man. And so like these type of things are a daily, like, or at least weekly, or every couple of weeks, thinking through how am I doing on this? Because like we're human, and some of those tendencies, some of those thoughts keep coming in. You still got to battle with them. And so for me, it's a lifelong journey with that. But right away, probably, I don't know, a couple months when I got home, I realized like life is just moving on. You can, play that victim card and woe is me, or you move on with it and you start to become, and like, obviously most people don't wake up to the miracle of their circumstances gone, but you do wake up every day with an opportunity to find those little diamonds, find those little nuggets within your circumstance, find the opportunity within your circumstance each and every day. For me, that's my wheelchair. Like, I'd get up in the morning, look at it. If I get in it, that's an opportunity to become educated. That's an opportunity to find work. It's an opportunity to find passion. And this wheelchair rugby gig, that's been amazing, or speaking to people. And so, like, each and every day, that's a choice. And I realized the power of that. Wow, I can either play that victim card or play the victor card. Like, you don't play both. You don't lay them both down. You take one road. And do you get it right every day? No. Are there bad days? Absolutely. But you don't let them snowball into a week of bad days, or you don't let them snowball into a month of bad days, and all of a sudden you're in this deep depression. It's each and every day I've got this choice. And I think the power of looking in the mirror and being like, wow, I've got personal responsibility here. I can make a difference here. Nope, can't control what happened. Can't control what happens next.
Wow, I love that, man. I love how a wheelchair, something that when you can walk, right? Like, you don't think about a wheelchair as an opportunity for anything, right? You're just, oh, I have my legs, I can walk. And now for you, this is really a tool to discover the world, right? To get around. It's an opportunity to say yes to life and getting on it, right? What does it, well, I really want to talk about two things, but one is what is it like being on a wheelchair? And then I'm just curious to know about your relationship with your wife. How did that ended up happening? Because you said she was your girlfriend and she's going to stick with me. But let's talk about first, what is it like being on a wheelchair? Like, what are things that are just different that, when we can walk, we just take for granted?
Yeah, great question. I think there's a lot of innocent ignorance when it comes to people thinking about wheelchairs, like, just random stuff, like it's usually older people that joke about it. Like, I'm in an airport and I'm next to another person in a wheelchair and they're like, hey, you racing? And we're like, you would never ask two people that are standing there, be like, hey guys, you guys running? You guys getting ready to race? It's just kind of a weird deal that we do. But for the most part, like, it's not a huge issue that, like, physically, like, learning how to push a wheelchair, getting around, or wheelchair skills, or whatever it is. And a lot of the stuff that we deal with our injuries, spinal cord injuries, that we don't talk about a lot, whether it's, it takes a little bit longer for us to get up and shower and do, whatever. So, like, you getting up and jumping and boom, you're dressed in 10 minutes. That's going to take me an hour and a half. It just is what it is. So that's difference. But I would say, like, the one thing that I would like to educate people on with wheelchairs is, and my good buddy had said this, that I just loved, and it's accessibility for the person in the wheelchair is accessibility for everyone. So you think from a cultural standpoint, if we build that ramp for the wheelchair user, we're building that for the elderly person with the cane that needs to walk up the ramp. We're building that for the young mom that's got 2 kids in her stroller with 3 different bags trying to push the stroller up to, and so, like, it's for everyone. No one's like, I don't know how to walk up a ramp, that's really hard. No one's saying that, right? And so building out this accessibility is building it out for everyone in our society. And I think that's a major point that makes a lot of sense. And you see that a lot with structures that are newer and that are inclusive for all different levels of people in our society. So I definitely think that's kind of like my shtick on the wheelchair part. But yeah.
And don't live in San Francisco, right?
Dude, I was out there for a conference or a speaking thing, and man, I don't ask for help very much. Like, when I'm pushing, I'm like, these things are just straight, like,
I know.
It's no joke. It is that's a workout, man.
Yeah,
you're right.
Wow.
You're right.
I just a little story here. I was in San Francisco in last Christmas. I took my kids, and then I was just curious, what is the steepest street in San Francisco? So I type it on Google, and then I put, like, take me to that street. I'm on my car with my kids. I go up that street, which is a really short street. It was scary. I had to back the car as I went up, I'm like, okay, I can't turn. I felt like the car was going to start rolling. I had just to
That's
go like
amazing.
slowly back up. But yeah, weird steep hills in San Francisco. Man, how then tell me about that relationship with your now wife, and how did that work out? You know, from your girlfriend to she's gonna stick with me, and how was that journey of? Because for a man, I would say that's important too, right? If I have this condition now, am I gonna be able to fulfill like this relationship goals too, right? So how was that for you?
Yeah, man. Like I had to work through some stuff. So my wife, April, we were dating. We dated when we were 18 and then so like through that accident, we're dating and, um, I wrestled with, I mean, she showed me so much love there every single day in the hospital and such a rock for me. And then I'm going like, I don't like, do I love this girl as much as she loves me? Like, what is going on here? And I ended up breaking up with her because it was like that whole thing of like man, I'm inadequate, or like man, I'm insecure in who I am right now, and like there's no way I can fulfill this. And I broke up with her for a while, a couple months, and realized what a bad mistake it was. And so we went through some stuff that um, yeah, that she has been with me through all like the darkest parts and seen all the blessings that come out of it, and just an amazing woman, who knows me better than anyone else, and understands me better than anyone else, and is such an awesome partner to do life with, and is real. You know, like she's her tagline's always like, all you do you need a little bit of giggles, and God is what you need. That's like her coffee mug statement that she always says. But she's real. She'll be that one to lift me up when I need it or pull me back. Like she's not afraid. I always joke, and she always hates when I joke about it, but she's like, I'm not afraid to knock you out of your wheelchair if you're being a jerk, type of thing, man. Like, so
Yeah.
she's super authentic and real, and it's been an amazing relationship to have, throughout the years, and be able to just share this journey with her. It's her story as much as mine, because man, if God didn't put her in my life, who knows where I would be. And so just blessed to have her. And now we have three kids, a 9-year-old, 7-year-old, and 5-year-old, and just a beautiful family unit, man.
Wow, love it, man. I have three kids as well, and uh, almost the same ages. Mine is 11, 9, and 5. So,
Okay.
yeah, I know it's a joy
It's
to
ama-
have kids, man. And I'm glad for
yeah.
you and for your journey with your wife and now having kids. Tell me about a little bit about what you do now with the Olympic team. Like, how did you get on that? I mean, you said 4 years of practice, but what was like the first step? First, I mean, on a wheelchair. I mean, one thing is saying, I'm going to use a wheelchair to get around to do life. But another thing is to say, I'm going to get into sports again and I'm going to be a Paralympic, athlete. I mean, that's a whole different level of this wheelchair circumstance. What was the driving force to get over there?
Yeah, man, it's crazy. The whole thing's wild, right? Like you think, oh, that part of my life's over. I was super ignorant towards adaptive sports. I'm going like, there is no way you're going to catch me playing these sports where they just hand out hugs and everyone's like, oh, you're so inspiring. I want to be an athlete. I want to compete. I want to train. And there's no way I can do that in a wheelchair. It's like, that was kind of my mindset for about a year. I'm just, trying to figure out life, and I'm back home living with my parents, and, which is like not exactly every 19-year-old kid's dream is to do that. Like, no way, Jose, type of thing. Right.
Yeah.
And about a year and a half after my accident, my buddy's going like, again, people in your life that are lifting you up or pulling you back when you need it. He's going, man, like, you're gaining a lot of weight. You need to start like working out or something. And I'm like, no, like, I'm good, man. Like, he's like, no, like he's very nice about it. Right. He's like, and if it was just layman's terms, if he was just like straight out, he's like, dude, you're fat. Like, I mean, that's what you're way too big. This isn't healthy. I had been eating a lot of my feelings, and luckily had someone in my life that was like, dude, guardrail, let's figure this out. And we weighed me. in a hospital bed. I weighed 285 pounds.
Wow.
And at that moment I'm going like, I need to start working out. So like, that was my whole reason for getting into adaptive sports, is like, I don't want to be this big anymore. And it wasn't like a good 285 pounds. It was just like straight, I ate too much. And so started looking up wheelchair sports, man. And I'm like, oh, wheelchair basketball. Everyone in a wheelchair can play this. And I realized that, yeah, you need a lot more function to play that sport competitively. So I'm like, okay. And then there's like wheelchair racing. Okay, they're on a track and they're racing each other. And I'm like, I was no runner. I did not like to run. I didn't run fast. As an able-bodied person, I'm like, I don't want to do it in a wheelchair. Like, that's not me. Next sport, right? And so then I look up wheelchair rugby. It used to be called murder ball. And like I said, it's like these crippled people like making each other more crippled, man. I'm like, man, they're crashing into each other. Like, sign me up. This is crazy. And so I went to a practice. Yeah. I went to a practice and I was hooked, man. I was like, this is amazing. That's how I got my start. Ended up realizing it was a Paralympic sport. You could play at the highest level possible, which is for your country in the Paralympics, and started making goals and started talking to people about making those goals. It's one thing a dream is when you don't tell anyone about it. Like, you just dream about it and you're like, to yourself going like, that would be cool. But you don't tell anyone about it. You don't write it down. So there's no accountability there. You never actually set a goal because you never told anyone about it. You never wrote it down. And so I told someone about it and I was like, I want to be a Paralympian. And this was 2007, 2008. And my body composition, I had no reason to make that a goal. Like, that was because there was just so much work to do. And I ended up having to lose about 90 pounds and get into shape. We moved across the country to Phoenix to train with some other Paralympians. So like, a lot of different things went into it, but it started with a goal, and it started with writing it down and then telling people so I could keep myself accountable. So that's kind of how that all started. And so I ended up going to London in 2012, where we won a bronze medal. And then 2013, 14, 15 was a captain. 2016 didn't make the team to go to Rio. I was an alternate. So I was on the training squad, but then like that whole thing's a whole nother story of like failure and what do you do when you fail and a whole learning lesson there. And now we're training hopefully to get that gold in Tokyo. And that's kind of like the career, man. Like, hopefully we can check that last thing off the list of to-dos in Tokyo.
Wow. Interesting, man. So, I mean, you went from taking the wheelchair as an opportunity to say yes to life, and then you went to sports as an opportunity to say, I got to do something about my body, right? Like, I don't want to get slow or fat, and I want to start back in sports. But then you went from that to, I want to be at the top. I want to be a Paralympian. And not only that, you became a captain. I mean, what does it take to be not only in the team, but to be a captain? And I don't know if we have time for that story there in the middle of failure, but what does it take to become a captain of the Paralympian team of rugby?
Yeah. I'm going to share this story that's kind of in the middle there, and it pertains to this. Is there's being a leader, you shouldn't be focused on outcomes that are outside of your control. So like, being a leader, if I say, yeah, our goal is a gold medal, that's an outcome. That's not a goal. It's an outcome of what we do to put it in. So like, our goal right now, the last 4 or 5 years has been, let's build a foundation inside our team, talk about our expectations and what we want for court time, speaking to each other's lives, be authentic, make it a brotherhood. We have some ladies on the team as well through our staff and a player. So a sisterhood as well, but like, make that a foundation where when we're speaking to each other out on the court, because it's high paced, it's fast paced, we're going. So like if I can't be like, hey man, I just love you, but like, I got to get you over here for this. Like, no, you're not going to talk like that on the court. You're gonna be like, hey, I need you over here right now. Let's go, type of thing. Or like left, right, whatever that short communication is. And so off the court, we're talking about those expectations. We're talking about those because unknown expectations leads to future resentment. Anyway, that all to be said, in my first couple of years in the team being a captain, I was so tunnel vision on gold, because gold would validate me as a leader. Gold would validate me as a husband, as a father, as an athlete, as a person in a wheelchair. And anyway, so like, that whole gold medal, it was going to validate my career, validate my life, validate my life in a wheelchair. And I'd say, I'm a better husband or father if I have a gold medal. I'm like so tunnel visioned on those outcomes, so tunnel visioned on success that you forget why you're actually leading in the first place. And so not making that team was devastating. But at the same time, I learned about, wow, like what is it to actually be a leader? And I think any good leader ends up being a servant leader. And servant leader to me just means that you are 100% authentic and real with the people that you're leading. Give the gift of someone else going second. Give the gift so you be vulnerable, so someone else can go second and be vulnerable too, and you can kind of slowly build that up to keep each other accountable, because that vulnerability and accountability marry each other into making some really good chemistry. So that's kind of where I'm at from a servant leader standpoint. Your words are really important, but the action is gonna build that trust as a team and with your camaraderie and chemistry moving forward. And so that's kind of what we're on the path for. Of course, we want to win. As athletes, you always want to win the game, right? But at the same time, being able to see these men and women grow as people has been really important to me.
Love it. I love that servant leadership component. Yeah, I've been going to a few conferences here in the U.S. I mean, digitally, but we talk about servant leadership, and I forgot who this guy was, but he said the only type of leadership that there really is, it's servant leadership. If it's not servant leadership, it's maybe not even leadership at all, right? And I love that comparison with how you were leading a team, with where you were tunnel vision into this is the goal, and you were almost like lacking the trust between the team, right? Because you're so focused on this outcome, and you're not, it's different when you have servant leadership, when you start putting others first in your team and now work as a group to accomplish that goal, right? Man, I love it. Thank you for sharing that. And let's end on this. I love this phrase you have on your website that says, circumstances do not define us as long as we choose to be a victor over a victim. What are you looking forward in the future with this mindset? I mean, and with your speaking ability, are you looking forward like to travel more, to become a keynote speaker at big events? What is your passion or desire now?
Yeah, so for the last decade plus has been rugby, and an athlete, and I've enjoyed being an athlete who speaks, but moving forward, really becoming an expert and a thought leader in the keynote forum and speaking wherever. It doesn't matter if there's 3 people or 3,000 people, sharing my message and sharing my faith with as many people that will listen is really important to me. And I think this victor mindset piece is huge for just showing people and empowering people that through personal responsibility, through looking in the mirror and realizing that they have the power to choose their path in being a victor, even though some stuff has happened to them. Those circumstances can control a person, can define a person. If they play that victim card over and over and over again, they get stuck, they get paralyzed in there. Or they can be a victor. They can say, you know what, let's find an opportunity that has come from this circumstance, because they're always there. And let's move forward. Let's learn from our past. Let's realize our past. Let's move forward, choosing to be a victor.
Love it, man. Wow, what a good word. I think super. I mean, it's challenging for just people listening, right? I feel like we're challenged by this super positive attitude towards life and even circumstances, whatever they might be. What a great opportunity, man, to share your story, to get up, right? I love this song by one of my favorite bands from San Diego. It says, I dare you to move. Dare you to move like today never happened. My favorite band, Switchfoot, like today never happened before. And I feel like you're an example of taking this challenge, and I'm not saying, now you have it all figured out. I mean, we all have things to learn and, paths to walk on, but I think you are an inspiration, man, for a lot of people, and I think you have stepped into your challenges with a very positive attitude. I mean, I'm sure, like you said, there were times where it's been depressive, it's been hard, not to minimize all of that, right? But I love that attitude of we have victory in whatever circumstance, man. So what an example. Thank you so much for sharing. And I love this Proverbs verse that you have, that you originally had on this shirt before your accident, a week before this accident, and how impactful that was on your life. And I just want to read it. It's Proverbs 3:5-6. It says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight." Man, what a great verse to end on. Joe Delagrave, his keynote speaker and Paralympian. He's a husband, he's a dad, he's a great guy. Thank you so much for being on the show, man. What a great story. I commend you for inspiring people and for what you do. Do you have anything, last words you want to say, or where people want to visit your website or something like that?
Yeah, hey, thank you so much for having me on, for the opportunity to be on and share. Check me out at joedelagrave.com. Hit me up at Instagram, jdelagrave14. The DMs are open if you want a question or want to share. I'll reach out as well and get back to you. So, check me out and any speaking opportunities over at joedelagrave.com. So just really appreciate what you're doing and sharing this podcast with people. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and maybe see you on the next one. Sounds good?
Sounds good.
Thanks, man. Bye.
Bye.